The moment the grid goes down, the GPS satellites disconnect and the law enforcement radio channels turn into static. 10 million people are going to have the exact same thought. At the exact same time, they are going to look at their families, pack a bag of canned beans and panic and say, "We need to go to the woods." This is the single deadliest instinct you possess. It is a romantic fantasy fed to you by movies that ends with you freezing to death in a tent that wasn't rated for the weather, drinking stream water that turns your intestines into a biological slip-and slide. Today, we are going to talk about the physics of hiding. We are going to dismantle the 3 most popular survival locations: the wilderness, the bunker, and the fortress. Explain mathematically why they are death traps. Then we are going to look at where you should actually go. Using the logic of structural engineering, thermodynamics, and human psychology, if you want to disappear, you don't need a cave. You need to understand how predators look for prey. Let's start with the most common mistake, the wilderness run. The logic seems sound: fewer people equals fewer problems. Nature provides food. You will live off the land. Here is the reality check. The carrying capacity of a square mile of average temperate forest for a modern unskilled human hunter gatherer is effectively 0. In a collapse scenario, the woods are not empty. They are the destination for everyone else who panicked. Within 72 hours, the forest surrounding any major city will have a higher population density than the suburbs. Except everyone is armed, terrified, and starving. The local game population, deer, rabbits, squirrels, will collapse under this pressure within the first week. After that, the predators start hunting each other. Let's assume you get deep enough to be alone. Now you are fighting physics. A standard human body at rest generates about 100 watts of heat. In a modern apartment, insulation traps that heat. In the wild, convection strips it away. If it rains, water conducts heat away from your body 25 times faster than air. You are now burning 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day. This isn't just to stay warm. Accounts for the grueling physical exertion of hiking, chopping wood, and building shelters in wet conditions. Where are those calories coming from? A gray squirrel offers about 300 calories of usable meat to break even on your heat loss and heavy exertion. You need to catch and process 12 squirrels a day, every single day. If you spend 200 calories chasing a squirrel and miss, you are in a deficit. You miss 3 times, your body enters catabolism. It starts burning fat, then muscle, then organ tissue. You aren't surviving. You are slowly metabolizing yourself. So the woods are out. What about the bunker? The underground fantasy: you dig a hole, pour some concrete, stock it with MREs, and lock the hatch. You feel safe because you have 6 feet of earth. Here is the problem with bunkers: ventilation. Humans are oxygen vacuums that exhale poison. In a sealed room, you convert oxygen into carbon dioxide. As CO2 levels rise above 1,000 parts per million, cognitive function drops. You get headaches and drowsiness. At 2,500 ppm, you become sluggish and confused. Above 5,000 ppm, you suffer severe toxicity. Time it hits 8,000 ppm, you experience air hunger. To stay alive, you need a mechanical air exchange system. You need intake pipes and exhaust pipes. In a survival scenario, these pipes are your Achilles heel. If an attacker finds your air intake, the game is over. They don't need to blow up your blast door. They just need to pour gasoline down the pipe. Block it with a rock or light a fire. Your ventilation system sucks in smoke instead of air. A bunker is a submarine that can't move. Once you are located, you are in a coffin. You have 0 mobility and 0 situational awareness. You can't see what's happening above you. This means your imagination will start to hallucinate threats. The psychological pressure of being underground and blind. Most people before the air runs out, so you decide to stay home. The fortress strategy: you board up the windows, reinforce the doors, sit on your porch with a shotgun. This is the Alamo approach. It appeals to the ego. But let's look at the thermodynamics of a siege. By barricading yourself and you have blocked your escape routes. Fire is the oldest weapon in urban warfare. An attacker doesn't need to breach your reinforced door. They just need to throw a Molotov cocktail on your roof. Heat rises, smoke fills the upper floors. You are forced out of your fortress by thermal dynamics. Furthermore, a hardened target attracts attention. You cover your windows with plywood and sandbags. You are broadcasting a signal. You are telling every desperate person within 5 miles things worth protecting. You are advertising your stockpile. In a collapse, the nail that sticks out gets hammered. You don't want to look like a fortress. You want to look like a ruin. So where do you go? If the woods starve you, the bunker suffocates you, and the fortress burns you what is left. The answer lies in the gray zones. These are the spaces that are structurally sound, psychologically invisible. We are looking for 3 criteria: industrial strength, low resource visibility, and multiple exit vectors. Hiding spot is often a boring industrial zone or a commercial zone that has already been looted. Think about a mid-sized warehouse park or a concrete office block in a light industrial district. Why? First, concrete industrial buildings are often built with pre-stressed concrete or cinder blocks. This provides excellent thermal mass, keeping you warm in winter and cool in summer, and stops small arms fire. This is better than the drywall of your house. Drywall offers 0 ballistic protection. 8 inches of concrete offers total cover. Second, visibility. These areas are visually unappealing. Looters hit grocery stores, pharmacies, and gun shops first. They hit residential neighborhoods next. They tend to ignore the boring buildings, supply depots for plumbing parts, paper storage, tile warehouses. Places look empty and smell like dust. That is your camouflage. You want to be in a building that looks empty. You want a place that has nothing of value. But picking the location is only half the battle. You have to exist inside it without creating a signature. Brings us to the science of detection. Humans detect other humans through 3 main vectors: light, sound, and smell. Light follows the inverse square law. A candle flame is visible for over a mile to the naked eye in total darkness. If you have a flashlight, you are a lighthouse. You need to understand light discipline. Never have a light source on the ground floor. If you are in a 2-story building, you live on the 2nd floor. You black out the windows with heavy material, foil, cardboard, blankets. You don't just cover the glass. You build a light trap inside. You hang a blanket over the window, and then another blanket 3 feet back into the room. This creates a buffer zone that catches any light leaks before they hit the street. Sound is tricky because low-frequency sounds travel through structures. Walking on a wooden floor creates vibrations, can be felt or heard downstairs. In your hideout, you need to dampen your footprint. You don't walk with your heels. You walk with the balls of your feet. You put rugs, clothes, or foam on the floor to absorb impact. You never ever slam a door. Metal door slamming in a quiet city sounds like a gunshot. Smell is the vector that betrays the most careful survivors. If you cook food, you are releasing volatile organic compounds. The smell of frying bacon or boiling stew can travel hundreds of yards on a breeze. Starving human has a heightened sense of smell. Survival biology upregulates the olfactory senses when fasting. They smell food. Their biology overrides their fear. You cannot cook during the day when thermal currents rise. You cook at 300 a.m. when the air is still. This keeps the scent closer to the ground. Or you don't cook at all. You eat cold rations. It's miserable, but it's safe. Let's talk about the concept of the spider hole. Inside your hideout, you need a hiding spot for your body. If a scavenger team breaches your building, you cannot be standing in the middle of the room. You lose that fight 9 times out of 10. You need a space that humans naturally overlook. Psychologically, humans scan a room at eye level. They look for movement and silhouettes. They rarely look up, and they rarely look into dead space. false wall built into the back of a closet, a space inside the HVAC ducting, a crawl space under the floorboards masked by trash. You want to be part of the architecture. If you hear glass breaking downstairs, you don't fight. You vanish. You enter your spider hole. You become a statue. You control your breathing, slow, shallow breaths through the nose. This minimizes noise and CO2 buildup in your confined space. You wait for them to decide the room is empty. This brings us to the most important rule of hiding mobility. No hiding spot is permanent. In a collapse, situations change rapidly. A fire might start 2 blocks away. A gang might claim your territory. Disease might break out. You cannot be emotionally attached to your shelter. The moment your safety is compromised, you must be willing to abandon it. Is why the fortress mentality kills. You spend so much energy fortifying a place that you refuse to leave it, even when it becomes a death trap. Your hideout is just a shell. You are the snail. When the shell cracks, you find another one. You should have a primary location, a secondary location, and a tertiary location, and you should know the routes between them blindfolded. Finally, we have to talk about the social camouflage. Sometimes you can't hide in a building. You have to move through a crowd, is the gray man theory, but stripped of the spy movie nonsense. It's not about wearing gray tactical pants actually make you look like a threat. It's about posture and energy. Predators look for 2 things: victims and threats. A victim looks nervous, clutches their bag, looks around constantly, and walks quickly. A threat looks aggressive, makes eye contact, walks with a puffed chest. You want to be neither. You want to be background noise. You walk at the exact same speed as the crowd. You have a 1,000-yard stare, looking through people, not at them. You hunch your shoulders slightly to look smaller and less nutritious. Kalu, you dirty your face and hands. You act like you have nothing. You know nothing and you are going nowhere. You are just another piece of debris floating in the current. The goal of surviving the fall of civilization is not to be the hero. Heroes die in the first act to establish the stakes. The goal is to be the extra in the background, who makes it to the credits. Don't run to the woods to freeze. Don't bury yourself in a coffin to suffocate. Don't board up your house to burn. Find the cracks in the concrete. Find the places the world forgot. Stay quiet, stay dark, and stay mobile. The strongest survival tool you have isn't a gun or a bunker. It's the ability to be irrelevant. If they don't know you're there, they can't kill you.